In this module, you'll learn the basics of drag and drop, learn about the event pipeline and restrictions for drag and drop operations, and learn how the browsers deal with drag and drop data internally. At the end of this course module, you'll learn how to implement a JavaScript module that greatly simplifies how you can support drag and drop functionality in your pages. So how does drag and drop work? Well, first you define a drag source and a drop target on the page. Once the elements on the page are marked as draggable, then you can drag them onto elements. But the number one rule you need to keep in mind about this API is that you must cancel the default behavior on drop targets in order to allow the drop to happen. This may seem counterintuitive at first, but the reasoning behind this implementation is to keep pages secure. So while you can drag elements around on the page, you may only drop them on drop target elements that, number one, handle the drop events, and number two, correctly cancel the default behavior, which is to allow dropping, in order to allow the drop operation to continue. So there's a number of different events associated with the drag and drop API. And at first glance, the events may seem a little bit unruly. There's no less than 7 different events, and a number of them are required for you to handle in order to implement drag and drop functionality in HTML5. Now, in the coming slides, I'll go through each event and discuss its purpose and how you may want to use it in your applications. The events are associated either with the drag source or the drop target. The drag source is the element that you click on to drag and drop on the target. The target is the element that you drag the source over and eventually drop the source onto. This table depicts how the events are associated either with the source or target. But let's take a look at them individually. As you click on an element and begin to drag it, the drag start event fires. Then, as an element is being dragged, the drag event fires. Once the element is dropped on the target, all other events are handled, and then the drag end event fires on the source. You'll see this in a little more detail in a demo that I have prepared for you on events. But it's interesting to note that the drag event continues to fire as the element is being dragged. Alternatively, during the same operation, there are events that fire on the drop target. As the source element enters the boundaries of the target, the drag enter event fires. Then, as the source is over the target, the drag over event fires. Much like the drag event on the source, the drag over event on the target will continually fire as the source is being dragged over it. If you drag the source off the target, then the drag leave event fires. But if you drag the source over the target and drop it, then drag enter and drag over and drop will all fire. Now that you've seen an overview of each event, let's discuss them in a little bit more detail. Now, I'm spending a fair amount of time on these events because they're the key to understanding all drag and drop interactions on a page.